Hey, everybody, welcome in. I'm Adam Hildebrandt, and I'm joined by Oklahoma State Interim President Dr. Jim Hess, who's going to give us some time, just kind of tell us and letting us get to know him a little bit, and we're certainly looking forward to that. Dr. Hess, let's kind of start from the beginning. We just met a few minutes ago, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, nice to meet you. I love being with you today. I am 2 weeks into my job, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting a sip of water from a fire hose. I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here. I started off at OSU in the fall of 1975. I came to OSU on a scholarship like so many students today. Very fortunate because some private donors were willing to invest in my future. My cousin happened to have been the registrar at the time. His name was Robin Lacey, longtime registrar at OSU, prince of a human being, by the way. And he told me if I would come to OSU, and even though I had a scholarship, he'd get me a great work-study assignment. I took that to mean working in the registrar's office, handing out forms, doing not much of anything. Turned out my work-study assignment was in vet med, shoveling stalls every day, and it was a great experience for me because I got to see the College of Veterinary Medicine at its pinnacle at a time when all of the great veterinarians were working at OSU. And so I loved my student experience at OSU. It changed my life, changed the entire trajectory of my life. Had that not experience happened, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
And all set a lot of things in motion, and even back before then, you're an Oklahoma guy, it sounds like. Grew up in eastern Oklahoma?
I did. I grew up in Henrietta, Oklahoma. Home of Troy Aikman and Jim Shoulders, both world champion Cowboys. We're very proud of that in my hometown. I was a product of a middle-class environment, raised by my parents. I spent a lot of great moments with my grandparents. I had a lot of influence from my grandparents in my life. I led with them quite a bit. And they had a great influence. One of the great things about that, Adam, was that they were products of a different generation. And so they had lived through the Depression and raised children during the Depression. And so their view of fiscal conservatism, I'm very fiscally conservative, and I owe it all to my grandparents. But I loved growing up in Henrietta. I was a Henrietta Fighting Hen. They don't call themselves the Fighting Hens anymore. But I'm very proud to have been a fighting hen and an athlete at Henrietta High School.
I kind of wish they would have stuck with that name. That's a very unique mascot nickname.
It's a name you have to overcome.
Well, another thing that I think is a little bit unique, some people have taken notice already, is the bow tie that you tend to go with, style-wise. Is there any backstory behind that?
Well, I just love wearing a bow tie. First of all, it's an art form. To wear a bow tie. I really adapted it for a couple different reasons, and one of them is purely simple. It's hard to spill stuff on a bow tie unless you drool. You can drool and get stuff on a bow tie, but you can't get your soup on a bow tie. So, no, I just think it's a product of a different generation, a throwback. I love to wear double-breasted suits. So it's just something unique that I've always tried to follow in my style pattern.
Well, we've gotten to know you a little bit, but tell us a little more about your family and those around you.
Well, and my wife, Angela, who is the quintessential wife, mom, aunt, sister, loyal friend. If you want a ride or die friend, my wife is the person for you. We've been married a long time. We have one son who's 46, I believe. And we have a daughter who's 35. We have a grandson who's just a recent graduate of Oklahoma State University. And 3 granddaughters. My grandson's name is Johnny. The granddaughters are Brooklyn, Billy, and Bradley. And our daughter lives in Washington. She works for Amazon. She was recruited by Amazon from OSU. I have a dog named Spotty. He's 15 years old, about to be 16. He's got an expiration date on his forehead, but we're still keeping him vertical, taking nourishment. We just love him. He's a big part of our family.
What kind of dog is he?
Well, he's technically called a Parsons Terrier, which if you took a boxer and a Jack Russell Terrier and put them together, that's what they look like. So he has the body of a boxer and the head of a Jack Russell Terrier, and very loyal dog. He's supposed to be my grandson's dog. That's who we got him for. But Spotty's love was for sale, and I wanted it. And so I stole him away.
So we've got a fighting hen that wears a bow tie and has a dog that I've never heard of before. So we're building some uniqueness around you, I think. What about hobbies? What do you do away from work?
I read a lot. I try to read at least 2 books a week. My wife and I have a routine, which is different over the last couple of weeks. But our normal routine is we sit in our family room and she watches The Real Housewives of somewhere. And I read books. And periodically I'll look up at the TV and some nonsense will be going on The Real Housewives, and she'll have to bring me up to speed, and then I'll go back to reading my book. But mostly my hobby is spending time with my wife. I just love to go places with her and hang out with her.
Do you have any particular book series that you like to read, or a type of book?
Well, I love to read history books and some biographies. The reason I love biographies is that there's little new in this world. We think things are new. But I think it was Harry Truman that said, the only thing new in this world is the history we don't know. And I've tried to kind of remember that. So I love to read biographies from people's experiences from the past. I think you can learn a lot about that.
You've been with Oklahoma State for a long time. Obviously, you're in a new role right now. What has this early time as interim president been like?
It's been really exciting. I have been blessed by being embraced by so many people here at OSU. And, of course, I've worked on this campus before. A number of years ago, I've worked for many presidents over the last 43 years. But all of the people who have encountered have embraced me and encouraged me. I think the one thing that I think anybody would be overwhelmed by is the enormity and the responsibility of the job, because everything you do affects somebody. And so I've really been blessed by so much graciousness of the people who work here, and some who I've known for a long time, and others who I've never known at all. But they've all embraced me very graciously, and I'm so thankful for that.
You talked about the importance of building a team, and certainly it takes a lot of effort to run a university this size. So how has it been kind of building that team around yourself and trying to settle in a little bit?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I learned a long time ago, Adam, was that there are people who are in places who know more than you know. And the biggest mistake that an administrator can make is thinking they know more than the people around them. So the best thing you can do is to learn from the people who are already there. They will keep you inside the boundaries. You won't go off the boundary if you'll just be a good listener. And so I've spent a lot of time listening over the last couple of weeks of people who are in key positions, and then I've had opportunities to visit with students and faculty members to have them give me their perspective about where the university is, where they'd like to see it go. And I think you learn a lot more by listening than you do by trying to articulate what you think. My grandmother once told me when I was young, there's a reason God gave you 2 ears and just 1 mouth. And I've tried to remind myself of that along life's journey, that it's important to listen to other people and to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
You mentioned in there listening to students and hearing from them, and I know that's something that's important to you. Why is that? What inspires that in you?
Well, we're only all here because of the students. You know, we all get wrapped up in our daily activity of our job, What is our responsibility? What do we want to accomplish? And we see these folks passing this every day on the sidewalk. And we may be deep in thought or deep in conversation about something that we think is important, and it is important. But the only reason we're here is because those students come. And so their experience is the most important thing that will affect the future of the university. I'm a finance guy, an economics guy, so I'm big on metrics like every other administrator is. How do you measure success? Is it enrollment growth? Is it retention? Is it this? It's always a number. And those are important. However, none of that matters if the student experience isn't the very best it can be. So what really matters is not so much what the number is, but what does the student experience from the day they arrive until the day they leave? In that window, that is our measure of success.
You mentioned earlier that when you came as a student, you were on a scholarship. Certainly, private scholarship dollars are still important. How does that look in the current landscape of the academic university?
Well, I think our number one priority is to raise more money for scholarships. Given the economic environment that we live in, our costs for higher education keep escalating. That causes either parents to pay more or for students to borrow more. And those two conditions are not optimal. And so the best experience that we can have for our university is to raise more private dollars so that students who come here are borrowing less money or parents are paying less money. And I think the philanthropy effort for us as the OSU has to be focused almost singularly on trying to raise private scholarship dollars.
We'll be looking forward to see how you impact that over the course of your time here. And you talked about it earlier. You started out shoveling stalls at Vet Med, and now you're in the president's office. I don't know as much about that time in between. Let's fill in that gap for you a little bit. What has it been like since graduation as you've kind of gone through your academic career?
Well, I'm going to tell you about my first. I worked at Walmart as an assistant manager while I was going to school. And that was a great experience for me, great leadership skill, ability, and developing leadership management skills. I also worked for the federal government when I got out of college, doing a little enforcement activity. And I found out during that people will try to hurt you if you're in the enforcement business. And so I heard academia calling me. So I started off doing operations audits, I was assistant to the president for a long time. I had the opportunity when I was working for Jim Halligan to start OSU Tulsa in 1998. There was a period of time after Rogers UCT was going away and OSU Tulsa was being created. My job was to spin off Claremore, Pryor, and Bartlesville into what is now Rogers State University in Claremore, and to create OSU Tulsa down on the Greenwood campus. And it was a great experience. We had to do it in 6 months. We had 6 months to do it. And so it was 24/7. It was a real challenge, but we got it done. And then in about 2002 or 3, I believe, President Halligan asked me if I'd like to go over to the Center for Health Sciences and solve some fiscal problems over there. And I told him I really wasn't enthusiastic about that. I was perfectly happy doing what I was doing, but he told me he was just being polite by asking. And so I didn't have all the information when he asked me the question, so I said, I'll be there tomorrow. That was the correct answer. So we had the opportunity to have our medical school become nationally ranked. We wanted to create a graduate college and graduate programs at the Center for Health Sciences, so we needed to have biomedical sciences, forensic sciences, healthcare administration, athletic training. We now have a PA program there. The Healthcare Administration School is the largest graduate program at OSU. We started some professional doctorates there, professional doctorate being one that's not research-oriented, it's coursework only. We have a Doctor of Forensic Sciences and a Doctorate of Healthcare Administration that are coursework only. Those are extremely popular in our online program. And then I had the opportunity to go back to vet med. A couple of years ago, the legislature created the OSU Veterinary Medicine Authority to provide funding for a recapitalization of the College of Veterinary Medicine to basically restore our College of Veterinary Medicine to the pinnacle that it once had occupied. The legislature's been very, very helpful to us. We have more work to do. We have currently a very pressing need to build a new animal teaching hospital. Our competitors have a lot nicer facilities than we do. And so we're asking the legislature to help us fund a new animal teaching hospital for the College of Veterinary Medicine. So it's kind of ironic. I started off shoveling stalls in vet med and wound up right back there. I'm still shoveling.
You recently were able to sit in on a faculty council meeting. What was that experience like?
Well, I loved it because I am a faculty member first. I'm a professor of healthcare administration and also teach in the College of Education. And I love my faculty role. I love working with students. And, one of the things that I've, over the years that I've discovered is our faculty members are our primary point of contact with students. They're the ones that interact with them every single day. And the most important thing for our faculty members is for them to feel optimism, hope for the future, and security. Because you cannot do your best work as a faculty member, or at least I couldn't when I'm teaching, if I didn't have hope, if I didn't have optimism for the future, if I didn't feel secure. And so I wanted to convey to our faculty members, that's my number one goal in my relationship with them. I want them to feel hope. I want them to feel optimism. I want to encourage them. I want them to feel secure because if they feel that way, they'll create opportunities for students that will change students' lives.
You've had your hand in several aspects. As you mentioned, you're a faculty member, so you've been with students. You went back and worked with the vet med school, helped start OSU Tulsa. That's a lot of different aspects. Do you feel like all those things have combined to help prepare you in some way for this role, even though you didn't necessarily know you were going to be in it?
I'm so glad you asked me that question. I feel like I spent my whole life preparing for this moment. I'm a big believer in that everything in life happens for a reason. And some of the things that you don't understand early in your life, and some of them may not be that great, but because they happened, he was preparing you for the very next step or some ultimate step of where you needed to be at a certain place and time to affect your destiny. But we're often called to do things sometimes that we don't think are going to happen. They're surprising, but we are being prepared every day for something in the future. We may not know it, but all of this is connected. And so I feel like I've spent my whole life preparing for this moment. And I'm going to do my best to make people proud of their university.
Our time together is starting to come to a close, but I'll ask you one last thing before we wrap up. Oklahoma State is a land-grant university, and the mission is to go out and help the people of Oklahoma. Why is that important?
Well, one of the things that I love about our institution is that we have fully embraced and articulated in our vision that we want to be the preeminent land-grant university. Because there's really, when you think about it, there's lots of universities all across this nation, and there are several in Oklahoma, and they all do great work. But the two things that we do, and three practically, I guess, as a land-grant university, vet med, agriculture, engineering, things that provide practical solutions to people's everyday lives. Those are the things that other universities are not charged to do. OSU does lots of wonderful academic things. We're very, very, very good at what we do. But the land grant, the pillars of the land grant university are what make us unique. And it is our connection to the people of Oklahoma. You know, Oklahoma is a populous state. It was started as a populist state. It's still very much that way. And providing solutions, whether it be through research, extension, instruction, public service, those are all the key things that make us the connection point between the university and the people of Oklahoma. And I'm just proud to be a little bitty part of that.
Well, we're happy to have you here. Dr. Hess, thank you so much for giving us some time today.
I appreciate being with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
That's our conversation with OSU Interim President Dr. Jim Hess. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.